Namaskar and welcome today to a very unique episode of Building for Bharat. This differentiation between urban and rural when we are defining Bharat users. Bharat users, in my opinion, are not restricted only to rural. Bharat users are as much in urban as they are in rural. So it isn't really a question of whether the Bharat users are more ready now than they were ever before. Now, however, there are genuine attempts to reach them. Now, let's talk about digital adoption. Although text has always existed as a medium, there is a lot of emphasis and talk about voice and video as well. However, what is missing is a holistic approach focusing on the totality of user experience. And it seems like in pursuit of the trees, we are missing the forest. Now, drawing analogy from the physical world, customers actually walk into a store or a physical branch with an expectation of having a great service experience. Irrespective of what initiatives are adopted by the business, uh, inside their physical stores and branches. So the same philosophy could be adopted while designing digital initiatives. And even in Reverie, the approach that we have taken is to be able to solve for customer engagement experience from start to finish. We are working on technologies and products. The problem we are solving is of the end user experience. That is the reason why Reverie has a wide portfolio of products covering starting from how contents can be made available in languages, how user generated content and the user engagement can happen in local languages, how customer support can happen in local languages. So it's like how the entire journey of the user in digital can happen in local languages so that the end to end experience is in the same language without having to depend on English. So what would be your take, Vivek, on the digital adoption, and how do you make the experience or the life of Bharat users easier?
I'll answer this in two parts. One is a little non-tech part, and the other would be a little bit of a technology. Because when we are talking about digital, you cannot implement something digital interface without having to depend on pieces of technologies. So on the non-tech part, it is about the user behavior. I would say consumers' behavior are mostly cultural. If somebody has to walk into a bank or to a shop, they would definitely meet the shopkeeper who would speak in their language, because banking or shopping, let's say buying a television or so, would be something that anybody would want to do. It's not cultural right there, right? So it's about just buying or saving your money, and which everybody does. So if we imagine a bank or a shopkeeper also speaking only in English and explaining in tech jargons or maybe modern jargons, then obviously they will put a lot of customers off. Digitally, India does have some challenges, because we know that there can be services that would would be rolled out countrywide, and India as a country has got many languages. People often in different parts might use mix of languages, and they may also sometimes not be familiar with, let's say, a touch device or where they have to type. And so there is a mix of technologies that will have that can facilitate all of this pretty seamlessly. Use of machine learning today is able to give enough fluid interfaces, either through voice or through text, identification of the customer, as well as like you have mentioned, if the KYC of customers is also capturing their language of preference, then being able to serve them in those languages also makes it a lot you know simpler and easier right at the start. So technology right now is capable of facilitating all of these pretty seamlessly. I wouldn't say that it has completed the whole experience at all ends. There is still a degree of human interfaces that would be necessary. People would still want to speak to a human at times, but technology can fairly make it much easier.
So, Vivek, you mentioned about technology can make it easier, and who better than you can tell us? Although I have also been witness to some of these things in this journey together. But there are so many unique things that we have been able to solve technologically. For example, after the national education policy mandated that professional education needs to be also be in local languages, there are very interesting things that we have been able to do. Then in financial literacy and filing of income tax in local languages, there also we have been able to do things that are very unique, and integrating into WhatsApp business, multilingual text as well as voice chat, right? And then, of course, citizen services, when you're talking about, let's say, whether it is judiciary or law and order, like filing of complaints in local languages, automating all of those things. So, if you can touch upon some of these things from your standpoint, that how Reverie has gone about really solving these real world problems, amalgamating multiple technologies, that will give some good insight to our listeners.
We have tried and helped a lot of businesses as well as services, government to citizen, and so on, in a variety of domains. Let's say, for example, in education, after the new education policy that emphasizes on education in local languages, there is a significant drive in at least making the curriculum books, textbooks, etc., available in multiple languages. Now, when you look at doing that, then the textbooks, have to be not just uniform but have to be, complete in that sense. Everything that was actually laid out as a curriculum, let's say for in English, will now have to faithfully get represented in every language that it is being translated into. uh, in making sure that that happens, uh, only a human and manual approach makes it much slower, and also, likely to leave out, discrepancies or mismatches. Whereas technology can help do all of that at least 4 to 5 times faster with absolute uniformity. We have also been seeing that many times students would prefer to be explained in their local languages. With this focus on local language education, even these videos need to be converted into different languages. So we have come up with technologies that can help localize videos. So from English, you can convert the same English explanation videos into Hindi, Odia, Telugu, and so many other languages. Of course, it does require human verifications at different points, but the fact is that technology makes it significantly faster and more accurate and uniform. In citizen interactions, there are e-commerce, or in fact, not just e-commerce. Most of the services today have been adopting one or the other interface on mobile, like WhatsApp. So we have created bots that can help businesses offer, either voice or text interfaces to their users on through WhatsApp, like, a voice bot or a text bot. Similarly, if somebody wants to take government services, maybe, a very simple example that I had always been telling about, but now it has started turning into reality, is people would like to express their grievances. Walk into a police station, make your complaint, and how often can they really write a complaint in English? It's not going to be possible, or probably it's not going to be easy for them to do that. And many people also come without enough literacy to be able to write. So, giving a voice interface where they can speak it out, and that gets transcribed along with the voice getting preserved, makes it so much easier to process, complaints, grievances, etc., at such places. So these are all the kinds of services that we have been facilitating. There are many more.
So, Vivek, all through you are emphasizing the aspect of user experience and blending that with technology, right? And this is something that I have heard you right from day one. And now you have more than 20 years of experience in Indian language computing. So I have to ask you this question, that when you are blending experience with technology, right? And also given the fact that there is so much of research and so much of investment that has gone into a Roman based scripts like English and related languages that depend on Roman script, but not as much into Asian scripts, including Indian scripts, right? And you are a firm believer that there is merit in exploiting the properties of these languages to be able to deliver the kind of experience that is required, right? And then I know that you have been a very big proponent. For example, if we take the natural language understanding, NLU, you have been a very big proponent of doing that in native script instead of converting that to Roman. You have been a very big proponent of having algorithms, uh, AI and ML algorithms, which are not necessarily very, very data hungry. So please tell us a little bit about how do you blend these properties of Indian languages, your experience in Indian language computing, to be able to deliver an experience that is equivalent to what English users are getting, right? And how you blend all of these things into what goes into Reverie's products and technologies.
Okay, so yeah, this goes back to my very early days of getting introduced into Indian language computing. Uh, so this will be slightly a longish answer. Uh, so 25 years ago, or maybe a little more than that, when I got introduced into Indian language computing, the first project that I implemented was a machine learning based transliteration. And when I implemented that, I suddenly discovered that let's look at an Indian trying to speak Hindi in an English accent. So one would say tum instead of tum, right? So you understand the difference between the versus the, well, for tomato, right? So that is how one would say. And I started wondering that the machine also generates that kind of results when I choose the language English. And the difference was because in English language, the pronunciation for T as the does not exist. For the there is no pronunciation of D for the. And if they do not exist, then this is what happens. And when I discovered that, I very quickly started thinking deeper about how Indian scripts and Indian languages are behaving. It's not just the script properties as they are written and displayed, because the script properties as they are written and displayed have a lot to be able to help you use our language. Let me know not get much deeper into that, but when I found this out, I saw that if we are exploiting just the properties of Indic scripts, they eliminate tremendous amount of noise and filth. And when they do that, you are automatically able to generate much better output. So, drawing equivalence from the transliteration, we used similar algorithms to eliminate what is not possible for certain languages. And that brought the amount of data that we were using for training down significantly and shot up accuracies immensely, right? So by doing small tricks about aligning with language and its properties, we started getting huge benefits. And today, if you look at Indian languages, the biggest benefit that we have is that our languages are mostly phonetic. The way that we write, it's the same way that we speak, and that therefore makes it much easier for us to implement these properties and get full benefit of those. So that is practically what we have implemented across all our technologies at Reverie.
For everybody's understanding, if you can take, let's say, e-commerce, a digital journey of a e-commerce consumer, starting right from being aware of a presence of a e-commerce application or a business, right? And then getting to engage in that application or a website, then going through the entire process of buying and customer service. how do various technologies will blend together to deliver that rich experience in local language. uh, and you have been a proponent of a complete experience at Reverie, and therefore that has also determined our product and technology strategy. So if we can stitch together that how technologies come all to really deliver this total experience, that will be really wonderful.
Some people walking into a local shop, and there you would not want the shopkeeper to be speaking only in English. It can put off a lot of consumers. The same way, it's probably the same observation that is now prompting e-commerce, the digital e-commerce services also to adopt languages. But there is a catch there. A digital e-commerce often is also entire countrywide. It's a pretty wide geography, although they would still like to understand where it comes from, and then who the user is, and so on and so forth, and then tailor the kind of suggestions that they are making. Some e-commerce websites have actually gone ahead and also used the language preference of the user as a property to start offering, or showing search results, say for example cheaper products and so on. I think that is the wrong way. It's a strange differentiation. I still think that as long as if you are an English user or a native language user, I do understand that it may be associated with culture. For example, somebody choosing Gujarati from Odisha will still have Gujarati as his native culture. But I think, identifying people based on language or culture for products is uh, is a little more complex than just this. Economic abilities are not connected to languages. So a product search will still relate to culture, and which is where what we do is we offer a bunch of technologies that can help understand, you know, what is available as a vocabulary in a certain language, and that naturally makes a certain class or category of products more useful for those language users. So that way, that kind of screening makes it more relevant. Similarly, when you are looking at a product, you would also want to look at the customer reviews or the comments that other buyers may have done. Today most of the customer reviews are accepted in English only, because many websites may not have a profanity filter for native languages, and to be able to avoid any untoward content in their websites, they would basically restrict users from being able to post any reviews in native languages. Now that those are the kind of limitations that are actually making even a localized e-commerce service not actually giving a holistic experience to a user. A user who buys from a site has the rights to be able to also post comments or reviews in a native language. Also, let us say there are a lot of reviews in English only. They should be able to, at least there should be a way for a user to be able to read those or get an idea about the positivity or negativity or whatever sentiments in their language. So all of these today are possible through technology, that user reviews can be assimilated, they can be aggregated, the sentiments can be aggregated, and they can be shown in a language of user's choice.
That really makes our entire vision of language equality uh, so much important, so much exciting. It is a big problem for India to solve, and we have been at it. And it is, like you said, it is not just a point technology problem to solve. And you would agree with me that over the years since we started, a lot has changed. There has been a lot of focus on Indian languages. Technology development is happening. There is focus on these users. Then focus on policies through standardization and national education policy. I'm quite optimistic that we will reach a point where Indian language experience in digital is as delightful, if not more, than what we are experiencing for English language today.